Hello, welcome to Jibrin Angle on Oweleka TV. My name is Jibrin. We have Barrister Austin Manta as our regular and special guest today to discuss on the matters arising, which has to do with River State government or River State in general. As we all know, that is what is actually trending right now. We have a kind of political Armageddon taking place in River State. And that Armageddon, incidentally, unfortunately for the governor, the Armageddon is tilting in his favor politically. And so why we are here today is to find out if the Armageddon is equally tilting positively towards the governors or on the side of the governor from Barrister Austin Manta. That's exactly why we are here. We are going to be delving into all the legal nitty-gritty of the political terrain in River State as it concerns the current governor of the state. Once again, Barrister Manta, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are just watching us for the first time, Barrister Austin Manta is a the principal partner of A.A. Manta and Co., a very senior lawyer who is almost 40 years in practice, in active practice. Has vast knowledge of the law. I respect his interpretation of the law immensely. Once again, Barrister Manta, you're welcome. Thank you for giving us a privilege to have you on our show today again.
Thank you once again.
Yes, as I said earlier, the matters arising is the River State political quagmire. You must be abreast with what is going on in River State. Can you just so that we don't waste too much time, let me just go straight to the point. Now, the latest is what everyone knows about, the issue of the House of Assembly, the 27 legislators who decamped to APC from PDP, and the 4 that eventually took over the leadership of the House of Assembly and went ahead to actually go conduct the legislative business by approving the nomination of the president, that is for the position of Commissioner for Justice, right? Yes, Commissioner for Justice, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. And so many other stuff. Now, the issue is the matter has been, because of for safety reasons, the governor have moved the State House of Assembly to Government House. These are the issues I will be asking you on the legal aspect of it, the legal implication of all this stuff. First and foremost, can you give us a general preamble of the situation in River State? Then we can now come down to specific questions.
Yes, thank you very much for the issue that is going to be discussed today. We have discussed part of this issue on this program in the past when it started, but it has also reared its head again in a more fierce manner, and it appears to be heading towards a decisive conclusion this time around. The whole background is that after the swearing in of the governor and the inauguration of the House of Assembly, 27 members of the 32 member House of the River State House of Assembly declared on the floor of the House that they have defected to the All Progressive People's Congress. These members were elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. So they declared on the floor of the House, that included the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and other principal members of the House. Before doing that, they suspended 4 members who were allegedly in support of the governor. They suspended them from the sitting of the House of Assembly and proceeded to declare themselves defected to the All Progressive Congress, APC. That set the stage for all the problems that we are having in Rivers State today. After defecting to the APC, they began an impeachment proceeding against the governor then. And the governor or his faction on the other side, the 4 members that were suspended refused and rejected their suspension and constituted themselves into the Rivers State House of Assembly on the ground that the 27 had defected and thereby lost their seats in the House. They elected a speaker and continued to function alongside the other ones. So there were 2 factions then of the Rivers State House of Assembly. And the matters took a worsening turn until President Tinubu had to intervene and call for a meeting that you are already aware of to broker an 8-point peace agreement, which essentially said that the governor should recognize the 27-member House of Assembly, represent his budget to them to pass, because the budget that he was working with was passed by the 4-member House of Assembly. So the 8-point agreement in quotes that was met and agreed upon with the president essentially stamped the legitimacy of the 27-member House of Assembly. Also directed that the governor should recall all the commissioners who had resigned, who were the faction of Wike, who had resigned from his cabinet, that they should be recalled, among other things. The governor accepted the compromise. In return, the 27-member were told to drop the impeachment of the governor at then. So the governor accepted this compromise and they went back, but things have never been the same. It would appear that both sides were bidding time and digging in and trying to consolidate before coming out to confront the other. And we are seeing that now, that they dug in, they tried to improve their position vis-a-vis their opponent, and the result is what we are seeing today. The conflict has erupted in a very dangerous way. The APC party, the chairman of the APC, directed the 27 members to start fresh impeachment against the governor. After the governor vetoed the local government bill, which the 27-member House of Assembly passed, to extend the tenure of the local government chairman whose tenure is supposed to expire by June. So that is what triggered the latest round of confrontation, and some members of the cabinet resigned, all of them who are allied with the former governor. So that is what we are now, with a lot of tension. The governor has now come out to say that the House, the 27-member House are illegal, that he only agreed for the sake of peace, and that they are existing by his say-so. In other words, he's saying that they are carrying out illegal and illegitimate activity. And let me also point out that the governor did not resubmit his budget to the 27-member House of Assembly.
Okay. Now, one question before we move ahead into the more more important questions. This issue of the president signing a deal, a kind of a deal with both parties. Did you see the president as someone that that circumvented the law or a kind of flouted the law? Was he supposed to do that as a president? As a president, he is actually supposed to be a custodian and a forerunner, a kind of for the law of the country, especially the constitution, to be precise. Did you have the same view with me as that the president wasn't supposed to do that in the first place? This was completely in conflict with the law.
Precisely, that is the biggest problem of our political experience. If we have fidelity to the law, to our laws, a lot of the friction that is occurring in our body politic will go. The president swore to uphold the Constitution and laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But instead of going towards that side, trying to uphold the law, he wanted to apply a political solution to a legal issue. And that is where the contradiction comes from. You do not apply a political solution to a legal issue because neither the president, nor the governor, nor anybody or any Nigerian can compromise the constitutional provisions of the country, because the Constitution is the ground norm, is the highest law. It binds every one of us, including the president. So it was purely a legal issue that they wanted to solve by political parameters. And we have seen that it's not going to work because the legal issue is still there and is coming to haunt them. They ought to have, if the president had been a statesman and applied the law, which is not subject to dispute because it has been interpreted by our highest court, the Supreme Court has decided the issue decisively and decided that if you defect having been elected on the platform of a political party, which do not have fractionalization or splintering, you automatically, I emphasize the word automatically, you automatically lose your seat. That's what the Supreme Court said. So if the president had been a statesman and put his foot down that how we apply the Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court, we will not be in this situation today. But his political party took benefit of the illegality. They did not have the courage to apply the law. Rather, they want to apply a political solution that will benefit them and make sure that the law is set aside or pushed aside. That is the bane of our problem or the problem of our politicians in Nigeria.
Yeah, that is the problem. What do you expect from a president who also circumvented the law to get to where he is, bulldoze his way through up to the president, to bulldoze his way to the presidency? Everybody knows President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is someone that the foundation of everything about him is just in conflict with the Constitution and in conflict with the law. So that's no surprise. Yes, now, anyway, we expect, I remember we talked about when this issue of this River State issue came up and this agreement that was brokered by the president came up. I remember we talked about this and you pointed out, you predicted that this thing, of course, that it won't stand the test of time. It's just a kind of postponing the evil day. That was just what happened, and that excuse me, and that is what we have found out. That is where we are at this moment. The evil day has actually come, and that is the unfortunate situation that River State is faced with right now. Now, there is something I got curious because I was made to understand that in all this, that the governor has no, we have so many cases in the court regarding, a couple or three cases in the court regarding this issue, this whole issue, regarding the 27 members and other stuff that has to do with this River State quagmire. Now, what got me curious is, why has the governor not taken this matter personally as the governor of the state to court? That all the cases, whatever we are expecting, all the judgments we are expecting from, everyone is expecting from the court, was not or were not initiated by the governor. Can you give me reason why the governor has not taken any of these issues to the court? Rather, the people, whatever case we have right now where everyone is waiting for the judgment of this, was actually taken to the court by either the elders of the state or other political gladiators.
Well, there are a couple of people who have the local standard to take this matter to court. The governor is one of them. Members of the House of Assembly also have the right to go to court on this issue. The People's Democratic Party, that has its members defect to the other party, also have the right and the locus to institute this action. Then even civil society organizations in River State who have the interests of the state have the right to do this. Remember, the governor acceded to the intervention of the president and agreed to an 8-point political agenda for the resolution of the crisis. Before that, there were cases in court. Part of the 8-point resolution was that the cases should be withdrawn and things should flow as per the 8-point resolution. I think the governor feels that some of those cases were not withdrawn, they are still in court. And as long as they are in court, the governor feels that his interest, he doesn't need to file a fresh case because he is filing a case that on the issue that is already before the court. The determination of that case will also benefit him.
Yeah, but under normal
so why do you
not supposed to? Now, let me ask you something. My concern is this: that could throw spanner into the works somehow, because what if it gets to a point where the judge rules in favor of the governor, and there is a motion that comes up, and there comes up, the opponent files a motion to nullify that judgment based on the principal person involved in this is not even involved in matter or whatever. So why wouldn't the governor at least join in the suit? Why at least he should to be able to at least to to be proactive in this matter, so that there will be no lacuna, whatever you call it in law. There will be no loophole, no vacuum of any kind for appeal, a successful appeal, or a prospective successful appeal. So why wouldn't he join? Even if he did not initiate it, why wouldn't he be joined in the matter?
Just like you use the word proactive, the governor does not need to join because other relevant stakeholders have already taken the matter to court. But he could also join. But the fact that he does not join does not mean that any judgment of the court can be questioned. Any decision given cannot be questioned because the governor did not join the suit. That cannot be a ground. The decision, and don't forget, the decision is in respect of the legality of the current River State House of Assembly. So the court is not going to make any judgment against or in favor of the governor. The court is only going to deal with the issues submitted before it. For instance, the court is going to pronounce whether the 27 members are still legitimate members of the House of Assembly or not. If that decision is made, definitely it will benefit the governor in the sense that it is people working against him that the court would have dealt with. It's not as if the governor is supposed to be a neutral person. It's a separate branch of government. The House of Assembly is a separate branch of government, just like the judiciary.
Yeah.
The governor is not supposed to give instructions to the House. They are independent of the executive. His only issue is that the 27 members have constituted themselves to work against him, to work against the political and legislative interests of the governor. That is where his interest comes in. Otherwise, if they were PDP members, if they had not decamped and they continued this action, they are continuing, the governor will have no right to challenge them. If they had not decamped, they are still PDP members. They could still start impeachment against the governor. They could still reject his legislative proposals. They could still override bills that he has refused to assent to. And they will be perfectly in order in doing that. The only issue that arises is their legitimacy to be members of the House. That's all. Otherwise, nobody could challenge their actions. But lacking legitimacy, everything that they do, every decision they take, even the mayor saying that they are members of the House of Assembly, will become illegitimate if the court rules against them.
All right, thank you so much for that response. And my next question is, we are aware that the governor have moved, has moved the assembly function or that institution into government house. What is the legal implication? Does it have a legal standing? Is that whatever the assembly members, whatever law they pass, does it have a legal is it legally binding? Is it a constitutionally right for them to have a mobile sitting? Is mobile sitting accepted by law? Let me use that. I think that's the right word.
This is not mobile sitting in the strict sense. What is happening is that the governor says that the current House of Assembly is undergoing integrity test. And if the integrity test proves that the structures are not very firm, it will be demolished for the purposes of reconstruction. And don't forget that the chamber of the House was once bombed when the crisis started and the fire engulfed it. So the strategy of using experts to run an integrity test on the structure to ascertain its strength is what the governor is using. Now, having said that, where the House of Assembly sits per se is not important, as long as there is a synergy between the executive and the legislature. Let me elaborate. If because of inconvenience or lack of integrity of the building, the speaker confers with the governor and says, look, our building, we see that there are problems. We can no longer sit here. Can you give us a place to sit in the meantime? And the governor says, okay, I can arrange this place for you to carry out your proceedings. It is perfectly legal. In this case, the movement of the House of Assembly to Government House is with the connivance or acceptance of the 4 or 5 member House of Assembly who have now appointed a speaker and disassociated themselves from the 27 other members. On the other hand, the 27 other members have not accepted to move to the government house and continue sitting there. It remains to be seen whether they will continue to sit in the permanent Rivers State House of Assembly building That is where the dynamics of power will play out. Whether police or security agencies will give them cover to continue sitting in the old River State House of Assembly, we will see as the days unfold. But assuming there was no factionalization of the House, an agreement has been reached between the government and the House of Assembly to move them to a more suitable place, it is perfectly in order. But if there is no factionalization, the governor cannot, of his own, walk up and say, I don't want you people to sit there in the House, come and sit there. No, he will not have that.
Can't we call this factionalization? The current situation where we have, even though since the matter is still in court, the court has the final say on this issue. Can't we? Are we not supposed to? Is the situation right now not factionalized?
Well, we can say de facto factionalization, but not de jure. That is, in point of fact, factually, there is factionalization between 4 members sitting and 27 members sitting on their own in different places. But de jure, which is legal, there is no factionalization in view of the decision of the Supreme Court. So by law, there's actually no factionalization, but in point of fact, there is.
Okay. Now let's even assume now the matter is in court right now. Let's even assume the court, of course, not even assume. I think that's what we should expect based on Supreme, as you said, based on Supreme Court judgment, that the matter at the High Court comes out in favor of the governor, thereby nullifying the 27 members of the State House of Assembly, nullifying their seats. So, and probably they take it, not probably, they eventually take seat to the appeal. And the appeal says that, well, maybe file for injunction to stay execution or whatever. And the appeal says that appeal accepts their injunction and accepts their appeal, their filing or their plea, and thereby declares that everyone should maintain status quo. What is the implication of that status quo? I want to know, because this issue of status quo has raised a kind of dust, a lot of dust. Actually, so if the court says both parties should maintain the status quo, what does that mean? Does it mean that the status quo, legally, does it mean that the status quo should be back to where it was? That means the 27 members remains members, or the status quo should remain the court's judgment. That is the High Court judgment.
Yes, for the purpose of clarity, a good lawyer just in a situation like this does not just ask for status quo. He goes further to make it more clearer. We have what we call status quo antebellum and status quo postbellum. The antebellum means the status quo before the crisis, or from a point of the crisis, or after a particular action has been taken. You call it postbellum. Now, if you are asking for status quo now, a good lawyer will not stop at that. He will go further to insert a provision or sentence or order that will make it clear that the status quo is either that the 27 members continue, or that the 27 members remain outside the house. That will bring clarity. If you just say status quo, you are going to run into confusion and into problem, and it will spur further argument. So I would believe that the court, for instance, the Court of Appeal, will not just say maintain status quo, it will give clarity to the kind of status quo that they are asking for. If a judgment was given today that the 27 members are no longer legitimate members of the House of Assembly and they appeal and ask for a stay of execution, and the Court of Appeal grants the stay of execution, it simply means that the Court of Appeal has said they should remain in office because the judgment is against them. So staying the judgment means it cannot be enforced against them until the Court of Appeal considers and determines the issues before it.
Oh, when we arrive at that situation, which obviously with the Nigerian factor, bringing Nigerian factor into play, we all know how it works. They are always going to do it. One can always pray anything with Nigeria. It's always predictable. What happens in such situation? We will eventually, definitely, will get to that situation. What happens? So that means the 27 members remains legitimate for the time being.
I personally do not anticipate that a Court of Appeal properly sitting will grant a stay of execution if the 27 members should ask for. Because based on the doctrine of precedent, what we call stare decisis, the lower courts are bound by judgments of superior courts. The Supreme Court having pronounced explicitly on this issue, it will not be right for a Court of Appeal to grant a stay of execution that will benefit illegality in terms of asking these people to remain, taking into account that they have a tenure and the tenure has even gone more than 1/4 of the tenure has already lapsed, and the possibility that even the Court of Appeal might take another 1 or 2 years, and based on that, a further appeal to the Supreme Court will eviscerate the whole 4-year tenure, meaning that at the end of the day, if the whole declaration of the High Court, even if it was upheld, it will be of no moment. It will not be of no benefit to the people who won the case. So a Court of Appeal, properly speaking, and these are part of the things that are going to consider whether you grant a stay of execution or not. Will the risk be destroyed? Will the judgment of the appeal be rendered nugatory? That is of no effect. If we grant the stay of execution, at the end of the day, will our judgment have any effect, or it will become academic? These are the things that weigh on the mind of the court when they are being asked to grant a stay of execution. So coming back to the issue, and if you permit me, for the benefit of our listeners, I can quote exactly what the Supreme Court says.
Please go ahead.
On this very issue, so that the whole listeners should know that this thing is as clear as daylight as pronounced by the Supreme Court. The case of Attorney General of the Federation versus Atiku Abubakar, when he decamped from the PDP to another party, and the matter went all the way to Supreme Court. I will just read one paragraph of what the Supreme Court said on this very issue for the benefit of our viewers and listeners. This is Justice Adelemi of the Supreme Court. I'm quoting him verbatim. He said, "I have no doubt in my mind that the legislators have made it manifest that if any of these elective members, after winning an election on the platform of a political party, later on being a member of the Senate or of the House of Representatives, defects to another political party, he is deemed in law to have automatically vacated his seat in the House of which he is a member. No other interpretation can be given to the above provisions." A similar provision was fashioned out for members of the State House of Assembly, Section 1091G of the Constitution. So you can see it cannot be more clear than what the Supreme Court said. There's no ambiguity. Even the Supreme Court said that the kind of factionalization or splintering of a political party that will enable you to decamp and still remain is such that the whole party is unable to function. It's not in a state where there's factionalization of a party in a particular state. It must embrace and affect the whole party nationally, such that the party is not able to function. That is the only time you can decamp on the basis of factionalization or splintering. So these issues are as clear as daylight. And we come back to the same issue I mentioned, that is because we Nigerian politicians, we barely tolerate the law. We do not want to operate with the law. If the president wanted to uphold the oath that he took to uphold the Constitution, and he put his feet down, there will be no crisis in Rivers State today. But because the defection benefits him and his political party, rather than apply the law, they want to use political solution to cover up the illegality that is happening in Rivers State. That is the problem. And the governor, by implication, became complicit in perpetuating the illegality when he agreed to that 8-point resolution. And to that extent, he also bears responsibility for the crisis that is festering and refusing to abate in Rivers State.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barrister Manta. Now, that takes me to a political question here. I want you to just, I know it's impossible, but as an analyst, a political analyst that you are so good at, let's delve into Wike's mind. Can you please tell us why someone like Wike would deem it wise to actually fight someone who was his former accountant general? This man was the accountant general who obviously knew where the dead bodies were buried, the financial dead bodies, all the lootings of the treasury of Rivers State government. There's just no one that this man is not aware of. We're talking about an accountant who was the accountant general of the state. Obviously, nothing that has to do with money that gets out of the government treasury without his knowledge. All the documentations were on his table. Tell me, can you give me a reason, at least one or two reasons why someone, Wike, will be going after this person who at this point has the power to bring him down legally? Because we all know that Wike wasn't that rich before he became a governor. He was not, but to date, Wike is stupendously rich. How did he get rich? Obviously, he has looted the funds of Rivers State government. Yet, he is fighting someone who has his secrets, everything about his wealth. Please, give us a reason why it is wise for Wike to do this, to indulge in such a fight.
Number one, let me point out that the average Nigerian politician is despotic in his nature. And he thinks or believes that once he allies with the powers that be, he has nothing to fear. He's protected. I am projecting into Wike's mind. He believes that, okay, he is an ally of the president. The president controls the security forces, the agencies of government that can go after any individual. So if you ally with him, you are more or less safe. I'm just projecting the thinking of the average Nigerian politician.
Yeah.
Now, look, I'm ally of the president. All the agencies cannot really come after me because of my close relationship with the president. Then coming to to him fighting the governor, you have to go back and realize that Rivers State is a very important state, both in terms of politics and in terms of finance, the money that they get. Controlling Rivers State makes you control a huge amount of money. Don't forget that Shimi Fubara, was on grade level 13 when Wike was governor. He was
Wow.
just an accountant.
Really?
He had no political weight. He had no political weight. He was an unknown person. Wike could not go for somebody who had stature, who was well known, who was powerful, because he is afraid that he may not be able to control that person. So he went for somebody that he will bring from humble background, promote, and then eventually give him power, believing that such a person cannot rebel against him. So he took Fubara from grade level 13, promoted him and made him a permanent secretary
13.
before making him the general of the state, and eventually nominating, making sure that he secured the nomination of the People's Democratic Party for the governorship. He did not stop there. Even by his own boast, he bought the form for every person who contested on the platform of PDP in Rivers State. That is both the senators, both the House of Reps members, both the House of Assembly members. And he put the local government chairman across all the states. He nominated the commissioners. All this with a view to making sure that to keep the governor in strict check, so that he will continue to pull the strings from behind, from Abuja, while the man is there as a figurehead. So when the crisis started, you can imagine the anger that now welled up into him. Like the Nigerian politician would say, I picked you from the gutter. You are nobody. I am the one that brought you up, bathed you, clothed you, and brought you, and you now want to rebel against me. So that is the mindset of the average Nigerian politician, not minding that he himself was also aided and supported to become governor in that state, and not minding that in his 8 years, he brooked no interference in the affairs of Rivers State from anybody. He was the god of Rivers State. He was the god of Rivers State. All the previous people who helped him, like Dr. Odili and others, who helped him to come into power, they had no say in what was happening in Rivers State. But apparently, he saw what happened in Lagos, what Tinubu did in Lagos, that he continued to control the affairs of Lagos 2 decades after he left the office. So he wanted to do the same thing in Rivers State. That is the reason why he went to that extent, to surround the governor with his supporters left, right, and center, so that the governor cannot move to any direction without his say so. And then, secondly, the governor complains that when he came in, the internal revenue of the state monthly was about 6-point-something billion. They have raised it now to up to 20 billion. So you get an idea of what was being taken away. So we are talking here in terms of a homogeneous amount of money that somebody wants to still be in charge of, to still pretend from far away, while the person who on paper is supposed to be to pretending the money is just sitting there. So we are talking from finance. You are also talking from political structures. I want to be relevant in River State. I want to continue to ensure whoever rules River State comes from me. I want to ensure that whoever becomes a senator, House or Rep member comes from me, just like Tinubu did in Lagos State. So you can, when you juxtapose all these things, you see why the fight cannot end, and you see the confidence, why the minister has confidence to take on this fight, because he feels that he has backing. Somebody got his back, and nothing would adversely affect him, even if he does the fighting.
But rounding up now, what can you predict that will take place, that will eventually happen in River State? This fight is now, initially they had gloves on. Now the governor is really out actually for blood. His gloves are off this time. So who do you think will come out? I've actually predicted that in the past. I foresaw and I still foresee Wike's political downfall. It's already, because it's been sliding, consistently sliding downward to the valley consistently. But in your own judgment or opinion, where do you see what do you foresee with the River State political terrain?
Well, the issues in River State are pretty straightforward, legally speaking, but politically speaking, they are more complicated. So it is difficult to make a straightforward prediction, because politics is injected in law in Nigeria to such an extent that at a point the law may even be made of no account. Now, politically, what is happening in River State has bearing on 2027. River State is a very important state. Whatever happens there will also affect 2027 elections. The president and his party will want to maintain a hold on River State, and they believe they have an ally in former Governor Wike, now minister. And they would, even if the president does not want, his party will be gingering him, pressurizing him that, look, we have to maintain our people in River State, so that going forward, our party will be in a strong position to capture the state in 2027. On the other hand, you have the people of River State that are fully backing the governor. And if it were an election that will be held today in River State, free and fair election without interference, the governor's faction will floor Wike by a landslide, because the whole thing has become like a David and Goliath fight.
Yeah, yes.
And anytime there's a David and Goliath fight, the people are behind behind David. That is the perception that is in River State today. So assuming an election were to be held today in River State, Wike's faction would go down. And that is the reason why it is difficult, because if you recall, the 4-member House of Assembly had declared the seat of this 27-member who decamped vacant, and written to INEC to put in place a machinery to conduct a by-election to replace these 27 members. INEC refused to act on it and have even discounted the letter. So you can see the politics of the whole thing. So it's difficult to say one way or another. But then the issue of possible violence and total breakdown of law and order in a state there is an oil producing state, a state that is very important to the economy of Nigeria. If things come to a head and there's threat to oil production and all activities in the state, maybe that will constitute a restraint on the APC and the president in their desperate attempt to maintain a hold on the state. Maybe that is the only thing that will constrain them to put their foot down and say, look, enough is enough. Allow the governor, let's wait and do the politics in 2027. Other than that, they will continue to favor their own people, that is 27 members who come to them. I read the statement of the spokesman of the president that the president will remain neutral in the crisis, but that he will not allow the government or the governance of Rivers State to be impeded. But as far as Nigerian politicians and Nigerian leaders are concerned, you take their statement on the face value and watch for their actions when they do. Because so often what they say to the public is different from what they say or what they do and say behind the scenes. So I will take that statement with a pinch of salt and wait to see the actual action that the president will take. Because this is not supposed to be a complicated issue at all. This is not supposed to be a complicated issue legally. If you apply the law, it's not supposed to be a complicated issue.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Austin Manta. Once again, thank you. You just you came back from court and you were supposed to actually take some rest, but you still give us the audience. Thank you so much. We appreciate this this honor. Thank you for being with us. Once again, viewers, you've been watching Jibrin Angle with Barrister Austin Manta, actually dissecting the political situation in Rivers State in regard to the law, and I hope you've been incited. I hope you've been informed, just as I have been as well. Thank you so much, Barrister Manta, for honoring us once again.
Thank you too.
All right, viewers. See you next time on Jibrin Angle, coming to you all the time on Oleka TV. Remain blessed. Bye.